You're watching once again a YouTube video presentation of the University of Wyoming Center on Aging. I'm Scott Veach. I'm your host, and in this series we'll be discussing topics of interest for those who are caring for loved ones with dementia. We invite you to subscribe to the channel, and we hope that you'll hit that thumbs up like button. Both of those actions help our channel to grow and reach more people. And if you'll hit that notification bell, you'll be notified each time we upload a new video. Our guest today is Carley Applegate. She is Vice President of Devotion Healthcare and a dementia specialist. She is also a coordinator of something called the Caregiver Bootcamp. Carley, thanks so much for being with us today. I have to ask you, what a great name. What are we talking about when we talk about a Caregiver Bootcamp? Kind of sounds a little scary off the bat.
A little bit. But thank you for having me, Scott. I really appreciate it. The Caregiver Bootcamp is 5 weekly trainings. It's intensive trainings to help familiar and community caregivers who have had no training learn how to take care of a loved one.
Is it in person, online?
Right now it's in person. We are working on some online formats. What makes us different than what you can find on YouTube or social media is that we provide return demonstration, which means that the caregivers leave the course with instant feedback on what they're doing right, things that they can modify or change to make their caregiver journey a little bit easier.
Okay, let's break it down a little bit. You said 5 sessions. What kind of things do you cover in those 5 sessions?
We cover how to take vitals, how to document those vitals, and how to communicate those vitals to your primary caregiver. We go over medication management, medication hygiene, and how to track side effects of medications. We teach individuals how to complete transfers, simple transfers, ambulation with a gait belt, and safety precautions, as well as a home exercise program. We go over all of the paperwork that is involved with a caregiver, medical power of attorney, durable power of attorney, pulse, DNR forms, advanced directives, living will, and what's the difference between all of those documents. And then finally, we review caregiver burnout, how to mitigate caregiver burnout, some techniques that you can do. We also introduce concepts like a bouncer and a person that can help the caregiver through the caregiver journey.
Wow. Okay. Some of that just sounds a little matter of fact, like taking the vitals. What's so complicated about taking the vital signs?
Well, it seems like it's simple, but it's really about building a routine and knowing your loved one's baseline. In order to know your loved one's baseline, you have to understand what the vitals mean. And it's actually harder said than done. That's one of the challenges is you have to be able to communicate what the vitals are on a given basis or over a course of time in order to be able to articulate that to your physician and make that part of your advocacy for your loved one. It's not just about taking vitals. It's about understanding your loved one's baseline.
Can it be physically challenging just to take the vital signs to begin with?
Absolutely. It can be very taxing on the caregiver, depending on where your loved one is. We offer tips and tricks. Again, we talk about how to build it into your routine so your loved one gets comfortable with taking the vitals. And we discuss what vitals are necessary and maybe ones that can be put off for a later time.
So what are the ones that are necessary and what might be able to be put off?
Well, definitely when we're talking about individuals with cognitive change, the weight is a really important indicator of where a loved one is. Are they eating enough? Are they getting enough nutrition, or are they losing weight? So weight is always one that we look at. Additionally, looking at the heart rate. knowing your loved one's baseline heart rate is really important because you can tell if they're in pain, if they're scared, if they're anxious, because the heart rate is an autonomic response. And so you can't fake your heart rate. If you're anxious, your heart rate is going to tell you.
Medication management, does that mean making sure that they just take the meds at the right time, that you don't forget to give it to them? What's involved in that?
Well, medication management is, again, it's more complex than we give a lot of our caregivers credit for. Medication management includes knowing what meds they're on, what are the side effects, how do those meds interact with one another, what to look out for, what can those meds cause physically that you need to watch out for emotionally and mentally. Additionally, you want to know how to manage the medication, when you need refills, when you need to go back to the doctor, what you need to look for as far as long-term side effects. And most people are never taught how to fill a med planner, manage a medication list, and have conversations with the pharmacist. So medication management includes all of those items.
Well, I think one of the things that was most daunting for me in my caregiver journey had to be the paperwork. My goodness, just trying to fill out everything and make sure that everything was covered and trying to plan in advance. Where do you start? What are the starting points, the most important pieces of paperwork that need to be completed? Because I know what I
would say that the most important piece of paperwork that needs to be filled out is a POLST, which is a physician order for life-sustaining treatment. That is recognized in almost all of the states in the country. Most states have a POLST database. And what it means is it's a physician order that most EMS providers are trained to look out for. And it is your advanced directives on paper that any provider can look at and complete treatment based on that loved one's wishes. That one is probably the most important, and that's for anyone. I recommend everybody having a POLST. The second, what I would recommend is having a durable power of attorney, and having that power of attorney really understand what that means. Unfortunately, most people don't understand the responsibility and the limitations of a durable power of attorney. And again, we go over responsibilities and those limitations in our caregiver bootcamp.
And one of the things that you mentioned too, if you if you think about all the things that we've just talked about here in the last 3 or 4 minutes, boy, burnout is really easy to happen, isn't it?
It is, and it happens to everybody. No one is exempt from burnout. Some people handle it better than others. Some people fake it better than others, but everybody is subject to burnout at any given time. And so we go over the different types of burnout. There's general burnout, which just means you're tired and you're over it and you just need a break. There's global burnout, which we see a lot in the medical profession. That's when physicians, nurses, other allied health professionals leave the profession altogether. And global burnout can affect caregivers as well. And then there's caregiver failure. And that means that the caregiver is either physically, emotionally, or spiritually unable to render care to their loved one any longer.
Who's a good candidate to participate in these caregiver boot camp sessions?
Well, Scott, personally, I believe everybody can benefit. If you look at the statistics, 50% of the population will either require care or be a caregiver over the next 50 years. So I think everybody can benefit from this information, but particularly people who are aging, children of aging adults, and individuals whose loved one are experiencing cognitive change or chronic disease. It's really important to learn these skills, if nothing else, just as an insurance policy that you can pull out when you absolutely need it.
What about what's a good place on the timeline to participate? As soon as you get the diagnosis, can a caregiver go in? Should they be a little bit farther down the road? What do you think?
I think again, I recommend people getting it as soon as possible, because you don't know when that diagnosis is going to hit you. It could be a 20-year diagnosis. It could be a 10-week diagnosis. It's really hard to say. I recommend anyone who is able to go, because you don't know when you're going to need this, but it's important to have these tools in your toolbox.
I know that you're based in Casper, and it's primarily for Natrona County. Do you get people from outside the county who participate too, or is it primarily just Natrona County?
No, we've had people from all over the state participate. We've had people come down from Sheridan. We've had people come from Gillette and Cheyenne. We've had people inquire about remote and virtual learning, which we are working on. And it's just really exciting, because when we talk about the boot camp, one of the things that we hear is, I wish we had this when my mom was around. I wish we had this when we were taking care of my dad. And so, we're really looking forward to getting this boot camp statewide. We're very, very excited about it.
You want to remind you that you're watching, once again, this is a YouTube video presentation of the University of Wyoming Center on Aging. We invite you to subscribe to the channel and hope that you will hit that thumbs up, like button. Both of those actions will help the channel to grow and allow us to reach more people. And then also, you'll find that little bell. It's a notification bell, and if you tap that, you'll be automatically notified every time that we upload a new video, and so you won't miss a thing. What was the trigger for this? How did you recognize the need and say, we need to do something that covers a lot of different bases?
Well, it started out as a community service project. I own a local home health company, and we wanted to do something for the community. And we really looked at what we could do to make an impact. And through research, we researched local stats and national stats. And that's how the Caregiver Boot Camp was developed. We recognize that there's no formal training for caregivers nationwide. There's a lot of organizations, there are a lot of specialty programs, but there's nothing available for the general caregiver. And that was really the start of the Caregiver Boot Camp.
Is there a cost involved to participate?
At the time, no. We've been fortunate that we've been able to use grants to cover the cost of the boot camp. As we expand, that may change. Again, we're always working on those grant processes to try to keep the boot camp free for anyone who needs it. And we're working with hospitals, nursing homes, and even senior centers to continue the boot camp, again, making it available for anyone who needs it for free.
Are the class sizes limited?
We do limit the class sizes. The class sizes are usually limited to 12, just because we do complete that return demonstration, and we want to be mindful and good stewards of the caregiver's time.
So how does someone participate? What do they need to do?
They can reach out directly. We have an email at evelynelanewyoming.com, And we have a website coming out in the next couple months that will include some of our registration information. And if nothing else, individuals who are interested in the boot camp can call me directly.
And by the way, we will have all of that information in the dialogue box below the video. So if you didn't get it right there, you can just scroll down a little bit and it'll be right there. You mentioned that you're hoping to expand this statewide. What are the prospects for that? It sounds like you certainly got a good head start.
Yeah, well, we just had our first nursing home. It will be in the Casper area. Sign on for the boot camp. They will be completing the boot camp for their clients, their residents, and their family members. We're looking to expand to the Sheridan and Gillette area soon, over the next couple months. And then again, we're working with the Department of Health in the state of Wyoming to expand it to senior centers across the state.
Are you in the middle of a program right now? Are you getting ready to start another one, or what's that look like?
We are looking at another caregiver boot camp in Natrona County in July. We haven't shared up the dates exactly, but we're looking at the second week of July, and we're really excited about that.
Terrific. Do you teach some of those classes? Is that your deal?
I do. I actually teach the caregiver burnout one, which is something I'm really passionate about, because caregiver burnout is kind of the deep, dark secret in healthcare. And I like to bring that to light so caregivers know that they're not alone.
What you do is almost a life's calling, isn't it? I mean, you really have to be involved.
It really is. It's one of those things that everybody needs, but nobody wants to use. And again, every single one of us is going to be in a position where we're going to be receiving care or caregiving. And so it's so important that people know this. And I'm just very fortunate and very thankful that we have the support of the University of Wyoming and the Dementia Together program, and the support of the local community.
Did we cover what we needed to? Did we leave anything out?
I can't think of anything. It seems like, to crush 5 weeks into about 15 minutes. But again, anyone who wants or is interested in the boot camp can contact me directly. And I'm just very excited and thankful, Scott, to you, Scott, for letting us get the word out. I really, really appreciate it.
And again, all that information will be in the dialogue box down below the video. We've been speaking with Carley Applegate. She's Vice President of Devotion Healthcare. She is a dementia specialist and the coordinator, kind of the chief guru of the Caregiver Boot Camp in Casper and Natrona County. Carley, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Scott. I really appreciate it.
You've been watching once again a YouTube video presentation of the University of Wyoming Center on Aging. We invite you to subscribe to our channel. We hope that you'll hit that thumbs up like button. Those actions will help our channel to grow and reach more people. And if you'll tap that notification bell, you'll be notified automatically each time we upload a new video. I'm Scott Veach. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll see you again next time.